That's a television hit.
Right.
While not killing someone at 4 a.m.
Round 2, 1984. He won 525 electoral votes. Mondale garnered 13. Ha ha ha! Loser.
Is, well, you disagree with my politics, therefore you're a racist. And White Gumby, Tim Wall.
Welcome to the Crypto Swamp Creatures, the show you never knew you needed and still don't want anyways. I'm Christopher Alexander, your blockchain and advocacy communications expert.
And I'm Justin Wallin, your guide through the often murky world of politics and polling.
Every week, we dive into the intersection of crypto, policy, and politics without taking sides. We're here to give you the straight, data-driven analysis that influences the decisions of those who want to win or want to be elected.
Think of it as a late 80s newscast, but with a twist. We bring you the serious stuff, but with a dash of sardonic wit and just a hint of irreverence.
So whether you're a crypto enthusiast, a policy wonk, or just someone who appreciates a data-driven approach, this is your place.
We bring you both sides, weigh the impact on crypto, and then we share what we use for show prep every week on our Medium.
So remember, no one is as smart as someone who agrees with you. And now get ready to enter the no swamp zone.
Welcome to the Crypto Swamp Creatures. You may notice that I'm a little bit nattily dressed. I'm, of course, an economic refugee. I've fled now that fascism has taken over. Like many others, apparently, they're moving to Canada. No, actually, I'm moving, and my suits are all packed, and I didn't bring one. Even I have a level of pretentiousness that I will not achieve. But obviously, it's an important time to talk now that we can talk about the election. So, Justin, I just want to start. I know that striking, our boss at DYOR / producer / 11 other things that he does all this great work on, kind of asked around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Now I'm not on East Coast time, so I'm further messed up. What was going on? I keyed on one thing. You had already called it earlier in the day based on what you thought, but I'll tell you my thought, and then obviously you'll have a lot more to share. When they told me that Loudoun County, Virginia was underperforming for Harris, when they told me, like someone called me, when I was watching on TV and they reported it. And when the reports came back from, I think, Georgia, that Harris was underperforming with African Americans in total, let alone African American men, I was thinking, this has got to be over. But you called it earlier in the day. What made you think this was over earlier on?
Yeah, so there are a couple of stages. At 4 a.m. on election day, on my first hit of the day, I had. And this was a guess. I made it clear it was a guess, but it was a guess based on some trends that were underlying. So, I mean, it was an educated guess, but,
For non-Beltway people or people unlike you and I that appear on television regularly, that's a television hit.
Right.
While not killing someone at 4 a.m.
Right. Well, not as far as they know. But what one does before the dawn breaks is really up to you. So, at that point, I was confident in saying, one, that the odds are that Trump would win this. Senate seemed without question would go Republican. And then I went out on a limb, I think more of a limb than the presidency. And I said, I do think, which has still not been decided, but I think gravity is headed that way, that I think the House will remain red. By the way, to which, one of the things that when you are fortunate or unfortunate enough to have your ugly mug on TV, people find you and they interact with you, which I love. So let me read one of the interactions that I got through the website.
Okay, and we want to set the stage in case we have an 11th or 12th fan that's hasn't seen everything. You've been attacked for wearing a hat on one occasion when you needed to, and then just your hair.
Right. Yes. People are really disturbed by somehow what's going on in my head. My head is a lightning rod for criticism, which is perfectly fair, by the way. All of me, my daughters make fun of me throughout the day, all day. So clearly there's fodder there. I get that. But it's been pronounced this particular cycle. And this one I love. From Donald Trump. And the email is trump@prison.com. And the subject was retirement? Message: the House, the Senate, The White House? Red wave? Can't wait to see you on Fox explaining your data. Prayer? Ha ha ha! Loser. That was my message. So
I'm sorry. There's a lot to unpack here, and forgive me for the first thing, but did you count the syllables? Was that a haiku?
It seemed like I said, I'm like, this is actually rather lovely.
There's some if I may, some striking iambic pentameter in there.
Right? It's true. It is amazing that when you're using, 1/8 or 1/20th of your gray matter, you can come up with some surprisingly nice rhythms.
Yeah, it's sort of like the epitaph for the Spartans or something, or the Kohima, where, go home and tell them for your tomorrows we gave our todays. It's like right up there with that.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I got that, and but then as the day unfolded, as you were talking, we actually started to see real data that was meaningful from voting behavior. Right, everything else was from ballot behavior. Right, meaning we could see what kind of registered voters were responding, and in certain cases, ethnicities and so forth. But I agree with you. My big bellwether was Georgia. And underlining that was, of course, the several demographics. One was urban voters were underperforming. 2, women voters were underperforming. 3, Black African American voters, particularly Black men, which is a story that's been going on for 30 days ever since absentee ballots started to go out. And then ultimately, for me, the big one was Latino voters were spiking in terms of exit polling and going towards Trump. All of which was historic, right? And when that started to happen, I started to think this is going to be different than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be quite close, and it turned out different. And not a landslide. By the way, we should probably kind of put a goalpost on what a landslide is, because this new, our new president will certainly try and frame it like that, because that is his world. Everything is the best. Everything is the biggest. He won by 295, right? So the last 2 landslides in my lifetime, the first one, they're both by the same president. You can guess which, right?
I'm going to go with Reagan.
You're absolutely right. So Reagan's first term, his landslide, he won 489 electoral college votes to Jimmy Carter's 49. Oh, you think that's impressive? Round 2, 1984. He won 525 electoral votes. Mondale garnered 13.
It's like his home state, right?
Yeah.
By the way, when you want to go for feckless people, I guess Minnesota's it, right? It's the Humphreys. What? There's like some wacko, and then Mondale, who's actually a decent guy, by the way. But
yeah. Most of these candidates are good people.
And then White Gumby, Tim Walz. Right? I think those are the 3. But by the way, to back up though, this is where we differ. Where I am not Trump-like. I don't send a picture of my hands to a reporter every year for 20 consecutive years like he does. You say he had small hands, but have you responded to the person?
I did actually, yeah. Which I normally don't. But I did say. I just said, it was quite an election day, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, again, being the messaging person, and as being exceptional at upsetting people, may I advise that the next time you have a hit, say, "Oh, hey, I'm on CNN." And I'll be explaining the election. The one I got right. You should come check it out. Red wave. Or something along those lines. But we invite him on the show. Say, I do a show.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. What's funny about that is it's that kind of sniping that which you and I welcome it. It's fun, but it's emblematic of the problem of the conversation, right? It's when someone disagrees with you, ask why. I'm interested in this guy. I want to talk to him. Why does he disagree, or her, or it, whatever it might be. And
the opponent of the Harris campaign was arguing for that and democracy, 2 very clear, definable things.
Well, that's and we're going to get we'll pivot into messaging, because I want to. We've spoken about it before, but I really want to hear your take on what were the ultimate reasons why Harris failed, and there's a lot swirling around that, right? A lot of folks, including people who are friends and people I respect tremendously, have said it's because of racism. This is the sad thing. It's racist. It is there are folks who are wondering how is it possible that 52% of America or more voted for someone who was, quote, unqualified. And to me, those are the wrong questions, right? Yeah. The questions are why they voted for that particular person, and you can introduce those things. I get it. Some folks think they're truly important, and that's important to discover. But it was about more than that, right? And I think it's extraordinarily naive to look at the American population or any population and their voting and say it is because of racism. I think that's a sad statement.
Well, yeah, and I think from a message perspective, I have to ask which kind of racism it is, the ugly kind that shouldn't be around, or the kind that is, well, you disagree with my politics, therefore you're a racist. It's the latter one rather than the legitimate one.
I think these things come from some people, again, that I tremendously respect and are not reflexive, but I think in the heat of the day, they're disappointed and they're saddened. But I think that what they're failing to look, and they'll see later, is that when there's this is not a white vote. When African Americans, when the black population does not vote, turn out to the point where they anticipated, certainly in the last election, that is a vote. You may not be casting a ballot, but you are making a statement, and that statement is profound. So it's not as if someone were suppressing a vote. People simply chose not to come up and vote. When the Latino population, when Latino men almost reached 50% of voting for Trump, and the population of those who are voting Trump is 10% more than what it was, 10 points more than what it was in the last cycle. These are profound changes, and it's just not credible to say that when you have movement amongst two key ethnic, racial, demographic groups in America, and it's big to say that the outcome of the race has to do with racism. It defies credibility.
Yeah, and again, going back to messaging, I think what's so interesting about this is I looked. Actually, we got to do a whole nother, I think, segment or episode on this, and that is the Fox mega poll thing they did with University of Chicago, where they had like this crazy sample, and it was essentially like, rather than exit polling, they did like weeks of polling and then included it. I'm curious to your methodology on that, but maybe we do that a little bit later. But we'll talk here on the next segment about messaging and democracy and how tangible that is something to poll on.
Beautiful.
And that's all for this week on the Crypto Swamp Creatures.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the intersection of crypto, politics, and policy.
Remember, the data doesn't lie, and neither do we. Well, not about anything important anyways.
Until next time, stay informed, stay skeptical, stay out of the swamp.